Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of the Mission Matters Money Podcast, your source for all things money. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres to keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, missionmatters.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, so today I have Henry Daas on the line, and he's a business and personal finance coach over at Daas Knowledge, and he's also author of FQ, Financial Intelligence. Henry, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Adam. Nice to be here.
So I'm excited to get into today's topic, so we're going to get further into this book, FQ, Financial Intelligence. But before we do that, let's get a little bit more into what you're doing over at Daas Knowledge. Tell us a little bit more about what you're doing as a business and personal finance coach, please.
Okay, so I work with entrepreneurs. I'm a serial entrepreneur myself. I started my first company 30 years ago. About 8 years ago, I shifted over to coaching people who were small business owners and entrepreneurs. And then a couple of years ago, I got the idea that I wanted to write a book about finance. I've been trading stocks and involved in money since I was a teenager. And, I started that as a whole nother project. So now, in addition to coaching entrepreneurs, I'm coaching just regular folk on personal finance.
Oh, that's awesome. I love it. And I'm going through your book, and I see some things, and for the listeners, it's very easy to find. You just put in Henry Daas into Amazon. It popped right up for me under books, so it's pretty easy to find. But going through it, I want to pull out a couple of things from here. We're not going to have time to go through the whole book, but of course, even if we did, we want the listeners to go buy it, so we're not going to do that. But let's just start with in Act 1 of your book, so you, yourself, and you, the psychology of money. Tell us a little bit more about that, please.
So when I started writing the book, I had just come back from an entrepreneurial conference in Bangkok, of all places, and I sat at a table with a bunch of coaches and talked about how this was on my bucket list and I wanted to do this. And they sort of looked at me and said, you're not getting any younger. You might want to get on that. So it was nice that somebody kicked my butt and said, go do it. So I came back home and I said, okay, I'm going to do this now. And so I sat down and I wrote a table of contents. That is all the outlining I did. I wrote a table of contents and I thought about it. I'm an engineer. I'm an electrical engineer. That's where my degree comes from. And I took a linear approach. I said, okay, where would I start if I'm going to teach people about money? Number one, light bulb moment, psychology. No point in teaching people to trade stocks if they are too afraid to ever put a trade on. Pretty simple.
It makes perfect sense. And I think that whole barrier there, risk versus reward, it's a thing.
You've got to figure out whether you are living in scarcity, whether you're living in abundance. What are your tendencies, right? Because they're going to come into play with every money decision that you make.
So let's go a little bit further into this. So let's see. So we have the thick green line. What's this one all about?
Oh, so all right. So now you figured out kind of where you fit on the psychological profile. The thick green line is something that I invented, where I basically mapped net worth versus your age. And what I discovered by doing this exercise is that many, many, many people get to the age of 30 and they have a net worth of 0.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They've gotten an education. Perhaps they've taken on a huge amount of college loan. Maybe they've gotten married by then. I know from my own experience. I was 31. My wife was 29. When we got married, I had a net worth of 0. Mm-hmm. So you start thinking about it. It's like, wait a second. I've lived 30 years. I'm probably going to live on average to be 80. So I've almost lived half my life. I got nothing to show for it monetarily. I got a lot of work to do if I'm going to get to 65 and retire. I got 35 years to do everything. I got to pay for my kids' education, our day-to-day expenses, buy a house, buy cars. It's a lot. So I wanted to show it in graphical relief to people to say, this is the arc you're on. And there's a lot of stuff that's coming down the line here that you need to prepare for. The sooner you prepare, the I hate to use the word easy, but the less difficult it is to get there.
What are and obviously there's many things for the readers to get out of this book, but if you could, narrow it down to a couple, what would be some of the central themes or takeaways that you'd want the readers to get from reading your work?
Great question. Number one, risk. I state very categorically that the greatest existential risk to your financial well-being is the loss of your primary income stream. We're in the midst of coronavirus right now. 22 million Americans as of this morning have applied for unemployment. That's about almost 15% of the entire workforce. They no longer have money coming in, right? So that's the number one threat. But risk is lurking everywhere. Forget about your occupation. There's risk in the markets. Walking out your front door and, slipping on the ice. There's risk everywhere. You have to take that into consideration. Before you even worry about return on your money, you've got to think about the associated risk. So that's probably the number one with a bullet. I would say probably number two is, and Warren Buffett said it best, you can never have too many income streams. So diversifying your money, diversifying your portfolio, building up a solid net worth. It's boring and it requires a lot of planning, but it's incumbent upon you to do it if you want to achieve what I call financial intelligence.
No, I love it. So, Henry, that being said, if somebody's listening to this, and so two-part question. Number one, if somebody's listening to this and they want to connect with you because they want to learn more about your coaching and the other services you offer there, what's the right type of client and or niches that you like working in? Part one. And part two, what's the best way for them to reach out and to connect?
Okay. So for the FQ course, now I should probably back up a second and tell you that I kind of put the cart before the horse. When I designed this, I designed it as a course, a 20-week course to actually be taught by yours truly. And I tested it with 12 people, and I added stuff to it, and I was all ready to go. And then a few people, my wife included, said, "You should turn this into a book. That's your lead magnet." I said, yeah, that's a pretty smart idea. And then I went into producing a book, and you've produced books, and it's a lot of work. I had to hire a copy editor. I had to do a lot of stuff involved with that. But the idea was for it to really be taught one-on-one by me. If you want to find out more about it, you can just go to my website, www.dasknowledge.com, and click on the little tab on the menu that says FQ. And you can learn about it. You can learn about all the various steps that I go through. It's very systematic. It's very methodical. And it's designed to teach you everything you need to know from your very first savings bond to your last will and testament.
That's awesome. Well, hey, Henry, it's been great having you on the show. Appreciate you putting out this work, FQ Financial Intelligence. Everyone just definitely go out to Amazon. You just type in Henry Daas and Amazon. It pops right up. Take a look at it. And, again, thanks for coming on the show. And if you're listening for the first time, don't forget, hit the subscribe button. Love to have you back here to listen to some more and learn more about money. And if you're watching this on our YouTube channel, definitely, give us a subscribe there, but also leave us some comments on the video. Love to know what kind of things you're working on and what kind of businesses you have going on in your world. And, Henry, thanks for coming on the show.